what the mind of man can conceive and believe it can achieve. But what if I told you the true key to success isn't in listening to everything, but in ignoring almost everything? That sounds absurd, doesn't it? Yet that's precisely what Napoleon Hill discovered after dedicating over 25 years of his life to studying the greatest millionaires of his era at the invitation of Andrew Carnegie. He realized that what separates winners from ordinary people isn't talent or luck. It's the ability to maintain focus, even when the whole world tries to distract you. Think for a moment. How many times have you given up on something just because someone doubted you? How many dreams have you put on hold because fear, criticism, or the doubts of others seemed stronger than your own faith? The truth is, the human mind is a battlefield, and whoever controls their own mind controls their own destiny. Napoleon Hill discovered throughout his journey that the true battlefield isn't in external circumstances, but within the human mind. He understood that every thought is a seed, and how we react to difficulties determines whether they become fuel for growth or stumbling blocks that cause us to trip. During his life, he faced bankruptcies, criticism, and periods of extreme poverty. There was a time when he lost everything he had built. The American economy was in ruins after the Great Depression, and thousands of people were giving up on their dreams. Hill, however, refused to yield to despair. He looked at his own failures and decided to transform them into a study, a lesson, a turning point. This decision, simple in appearance but powerful in essence, shaped the foundation of everything he would later teach. Think of how many times you too have been tested. A business that failed, an opportunity that slipped through your fingers, a mistake that seemed too big to overcome. Most people, when faced with this, surrender to discouragement and begin to believe that life is unfair. But Hill learned that defeat isn't the end. It's merely a signal, a compass indicating what still needs to be learned. He used to say that every adversity carries within it the seed of an equivalent or even greater benefit. This idea isn't just a pretty metaphor, it's a truth proven by science itself. Research shows that people who view failure as a natural part of the process possess greater emotional resilience, sharper focus, and higher chances of long-term success. This is because the human brain learns more from pain than from ease, but only when that pain is observed with curiosity and not with self-punishment. Napoleon Hill lived this philosophy viscerally. There were days when he didn't know how he would support his family, nights when despair made him doubt his own purpose. But it was precisely in those moments of darkness that he found the strength that would define his story. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" he asked himself, "What is this trying to teach me?" This simple shift in perspective kept him standing when everyone around him succumbed to fear. He understood that the human mind is like a muscle. The more it's tested, the stronger it becomes. And what's curious is that when you start viewing challenges in this way, the world around you changes too. The energy previously spent on complaints and worries becomes directed towards solutions and growth. Now imagine how much of your life has been spent reliving past mistakes. How many times have you given up trying again because you believed the outcome would be the same? This kind of thinking is a silent trap. It locks you into a cycle of self-sabotage where every frustrated attempt is seen as confirmation of your incapability. But Hill proved otherwise. He showed that failure isn't a sentence. It's a warning that something in the method needs to be adjusted. And when you learn to adjust instead of giving up, life begins to respond differently. Every obstacle ceases to be a wall and transforms into a stepping stone. Hill believed that the power to overcome is directly linked to the ability to control one's internal dialogue. He said that everything begins with a thought, and that it's impossible to change reality without first changing the content of one's own mind. How many times have you allowed yourself to be dominated by thoughts of fear, guilt, or doubt? It is precisely in these moments that the true test occurs. The difference between those who move forward and those who stop lies in the decision not to be swept away by the first emotion. And this control isn't a gift, it's practice. Just like him, you too can train your own thoughts to react differently. When fear comes, observe it. When doubt arises, question it. When failure appears, study it. This is what Hill did throughout his life. He transformed every fall into raw material to climb higher. He used to recount that once, after yet another bankruptcy, he looked at the collection notices on his table and realized there was only one thing no one could take from him: his mind. In that moment, he understood that he could lose everything: money, status, opportunities, but as long as he maintained control over his own thoughts, he would never truly be defeated. It was this belief that kept him steadfast until he wrote the book that would change millions of lives around the world. Criticism is one of the most destructive forces for the human mind when we don't know how to handle it. From the beginning of his career, he was the target of ridicule, rejections, and accusations. Many called him a naive dreamer. Others accused him of selling false hope. But he discovered something that would change not only his own life, but also that of millions of people around the world. Criticism only holds the power you grant it. He learned to filter, to discern between what deserved attention and what was just noise. And this discernment was what kept him steady while others got lost along the way. Think of how many times someone demotivated you with a simple phrase: "You won't succeed. That's not for you. Give up. It's too difficult." Sometimes these words even come from close individuals, family, friends, colleagues, and that's why they hurt so much. But what few realize is that unfiltered criticism is like a silent toxin that erodes self-confidence. Hill believed that accepting destructive criticism is like opening the door of your mind and allowing someone else to steer the course of your life. The moment you internalize the opinion of someone who doesn't believe in you, you're no longer following your purpose, but rather trying to prove something to someone who may never understand your vision. And that's precisely where most people make their mistake. They spend years trying to please, to respond, to justify themselves. They expend emotional energy trying to convince the world that they are capable when that same energy could be used to build something great. Steve Jobs, for example, was fired from his own company, humiliated in front of everyone. The criticism was harsh, the blow deep. He could have surrendered, but he chose silence and focus. He returned years later with an even more refined mindset and transformed Apple into the giant we know today. He understood, like Hill, that the secret lies in ignoring what doesn't contribute to one's purpose. While others wasted time judging, he was creating. Now think of how many brilliant ideas were stifled because someone was afraid of being judged. How many projects died before they even began because the criticism of a single person was taken as absolute truth. Hill used to say that the opinions of others reflect their fears more than the reality about you. A critic most often speaks not of your potential, but of their own limitations. And that's why he insisted, never accept advice from those who have never built anything. This is one of the most powerful lessons he left behind. There's an interesting detail confirmed by modern psychological studies. People with low self-esteem tend to believe negative criticism more easily, even when it's unfounded. The brain registers these words as facts, which weakens the reward system, decreasing motivation and mental clarity. On the other hand, individuals with a well-defined sense of purpose have a kind of psychological shield. They listen, analyze, and if something doesn't add value, they simply discard it. And that's precisely what Hill called emotional intelligence applied to success. It's not about arrogance, but about mental maturity. Napoleon Hill lived this philosophy intensely. During the writing of Think and Grow Rich, he faced not only rejection from publishers, but also ridicule from close acquaintances who claimed his ideas were illusions for the gullible. Even so, he persisted, sustained by the faith that his message could change lives. And it did. The book became one of the most influential works of all time, selling millions of copies and transforming generations. All of this was only possible because he chose to ignore the external noise and listen to his own inner voice. But there's another side to the coin. History is filled with examples of people who succumbed to pressure and lost their way. Nikola Tesla, an incomparable genius, suffered for years from the rejection and scorn of the scientific community. Although his inventions shaped the modern world, he ended his life isolated, embittered, and forgotten. Constant criticism and a lack of recognition eroded his energy and dimmed the brilliance of an extraordinary mind. This contrast is powerful. While some grow with criticism, others allow themselves to be consumed by it. The difference isn't in the criticism itself, but in how one chooses to react to it. And here lies the crucial point. Hill leaves us as his legacy. Control of your attention is control of your life. If you learn not to react automatically to everything you hear, you begin to select what truly deserves space in your inner world. It's like suddenly adjusting a lens's focus. The noise disappears and what matters becomes clear. This skill is rare, yet it separates those who create from those who merely comment on what has been created. A human being's true strength isn't revealed when everything is going well, but rather when everything seems to fall apart. Napoleon Hill believed that pressure was the ultimate test of character, and that only under its weight could one discover how much they truly believed in themselves. He used to say that anyone could appear confident when money was flowing in, when plans were unfolding smoothly, and when life followed the expected script. But it's during days of collapse, in moments when everything you've built seems to crumble, that your mental control is put to the test. Hill experienced this firsthand. During the Great Depression, he lost almost everything: his businesses, his stability, his peace. The country was in crisis. Millions of people were broken, desperate, and consumed by fear. And yet, he chose not to be just another one. He chose to see in that chaos an opportunity to train his mind, to understand the power of remaining calm when the world screams. He realized that it's not what happens externally that defines a person's destiny, but rather how they react internally. Because pressure, no matter how much it hurts, serves a purpose. It reveals whether you truly trust what you claim to believe in. When life tightens its grip, the ego falls, masks drop, and only the truth, the real strength of your spirit, remains. That's why so many people collapse. They spend years believing they are prepared, until the moment reality confronts them and shows how much they are still prisoners of their own emotions. How many times have you found yourself in despair over something beyond your control? An unexpected financial problem, a job loss, a betrayal, a personal loss. In such moments, most people react impulsively. Some revolt, others withdraw, and still others try to cling to anything to regain control. But it's precisely this despair that makes us lose what is most valuable: clarity. Hill understood that the first step when facing adversity is not to fight against it, but to breathe. He used to say that a panicked mind is incapable of creating solutions. Fear, despair, and haste are enemies of intelligence. Only self-control transforms chaos into strategy. And it's not about coldness, but about consciousness. When you understand that not everything can be controlled, you start to focus on what is within your reach, your attitude. This is the real power. This is where most people err, trying to master what cannot be mastered and neglecting what is completely under their command. Hill learned this the hard way. While many around him surrendered to despair during the crisis, he decided to study the minds that prospered amidst the storm. He discovered that they all had one thing in common: calm under pressure. None of them denied the difficulty, but all chose to act with awareness instead of reacting on impulse. During one of the darkest periods of his life, Hill would often retreat into silence, take notes, and visualize what he wanted to build once everything passed. He didn't know when or how the storm would cease, but he maintained the certainty that his mind was the only firm ground amidst the collapse. This unshakable faith became his anchor. While the world outside was in turmoil, within him there was purpose, and it was precisely this stance that led him to be reborn as one of history's greatest personal development thinkers. Now imagine applying this mindset to your own life. Think of a problem that has been keeping you awake at night. You've probably found yourself trying to predict every outcome, imagining the worst possibilities, trying to control every detail. But this only exhausts you. Your mind becomes a factory of worries and loses the ability to see simple solutions. The irony is that the more we try to control the uncontrollable, the more fragile we become. Hill said that pressure doesn't destroy anyone. What destroys is resistance to what cannot be changed. The secret is to accept what is beyond reach and redirect all your energy toward what you can do now. He compared life to a river. Water doesn't fight against the stones. It flows around them. There's no resistance, only adaptation. When you adopt this mental posture, the impossible begins to reorganize itself before you. It's as if life respects those who remain serene in the face of chaos. Because serenity isn't passivity, it's wisdom in motion. It's the power to observe chaos without becoming a part of it. Hill's story shows that calm is one of the greatest forms of courage. During the Great Depression, when everyone expected collapse, he transformed fear into focus and chaos into fuel. And it was precisely during this period of darkness that many of the teachings that would later inspire millions of people were born. Pressure, for him, was the laboratory where human character was forged. How many times have you tried to escape a difficult moment, when, in fact, that very moment could have strengthened you? Hill believed that life always tests our strength before delivering something great to us. And when the test arrives, there's no point in running. You must face it with calm, with presence, with faith. Because pressure isn't the end, it's the mold where your new self is being created. Napoleon Hill learned by observing the most successful men of his time that silence is one of the most powerful weapons in existence. He understood that there's a sacred energy in things that are kept private, that when you talk too much about what you're going to do, the universe loses the element of mystery, and with it, the creative force born from concentration. Hill realized that the secret to progress lies in acting before announcing, in building before showing, and in strengthening yourself before exposing yourself. He learned this from Andrew Carnegie, who taught him that true winners don't waste energy trying to convince the world. They simply do. And when the result appears, it is so grand that there's no longer any need for explanations. In a noisy world where everyone shouts for attention, those who learn to remain silent gain an invaluable advantage. Think of how many times you've told someone your plans and suddenly felt your motivation disappear. Science explains this. Studies show that the simple act of sharing goals with others activates the same reward system in the brain that would be activated after completing them. In other words, by speaking, you trick your mind and reduce the impulse to act. And that's precisely why so many start with enthusiasm and end up without results. Hill called this emotional self-deception, the pleasure of talking about the future without the commitment to live it. He saw this happen all the time. People who boasted about what they would do but never did, and then became bitter, blaming life for lost opportunities. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine using silence as a shield, as a strategy. Working without needing to prove anything to anyone. Creating in anonymity, without the eyes of criticism or comparison. It's in this space of quietude that ideas grow with strength. Hill used to say that silence protects the dream because it prevents it from being contaminated by the doubts of others. How many times have you given up on something just because someone doubted it? How many times has a discouraging word made you believe that perhaps you weren't capable? When you keep your plans to yourself, you prevent those voices from penetrating your mind and misaligning your purpose. He himself experienced this numerous times. During the years he was writing Think and Grow Rich, Hill was ridiculed. They called him a lunatic, said he was wasting his time on utopian ideas, but he chose silence. He worked in secret for years, building a work that would change the lives of millions. And when he finally published it, the impact was so great that those who criticized him had no choice but to be silent. Silence, which was once seen as weakness, proved to be his greatest strength. And if you observe, you'll see that the most secure individuals rarely speak too much. They don't need to assert what they are, because their results speak for themselves. Silence conveys authority, self-confidence, and emotional mastery. That's why Hill taught that words are too powerful to be used carelessly. Each time you speak about a plan, you're distributing part of the energy that should be used to accomplish it. That's why he recommended, speak less, observe more, always act. How many of your goals never came to fruition simply because you discussed them prematurely? How many dreams became too vulnerable because they were exposed to those unprepared to understand them? The truth is that not everyone has the emotional capacity to handle the grandeur of your plans. And when you share your vision with small-minded people, you run the risk of seeing your own enthusiasm wane. Hill knew this. He believed there's a right time to reveal each achievement, and that time is when it's already complete, solid, and unshakable. Silence doesn't mean isolation. It means focus. It's a form of respect for your own process. Because true success doesn't need an audience. It needs purpose. It's like a seed planted in the earth. It grows in silence, invisible to the eye, until the moment it breaks through the soil and becomes impossible to ignore. This is the essence of what Hill called mental maturity, the patience to grow without needing immediate recognition. And there's another detail few people realize. Silence is also a gesture of wisdom in the face of criticism. When someone doubts you, the natural impulse is to respond, argue, justify yourself. Yet Hill maintained that arguing with ignorance is like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. The best response is forward momentum. Nothing shuts down a critic faster than tangible results. For this reason, he advised, transform every word of doubt into fuel and every challenge into a powerful incentive to work even harder. The human mind naturally craves validation, yet true success blossoms when you learn to release that need. Silence then becomes a profound form of emotional independence. It's a state where you no longer feel compelled to prove yourself, because you simply know. And when you possess that inner knowing, the world invariably senses it. People may not always grasp the specifics of your endeavors, but they unfailingly pick up on the unwavering confidence in your eyes, the steady consistency of your actions, and the profound calm of someone driven by an unshakable purpose. Napoleon Hill understood that true greatness requires no fanfare. It is discreet, consistent, and quietly powerful. The insecure make noise. The wise choose silence. And perhaps this is the greatest secret of all, the profound power of needing to say nothing for things to unfold as they should. To work diligently in silence, to act with unwavering focus, to guard what is sacred, this is the path of those who truly grasp that the genuine sound of success is the echo of their own actions reverberating throughout the world. This is the very essence of Napoleon Hill's profound teachings. Disregard what doesn't serve you, silence what distracts you, and steadfastly focus on what genuinely matters. For when you master your own mind, nothing external can truly hold sway over you. This is the precise juncture where life begins its transformation, when you cease merely reacting and consciously choose where to direct your energy. This distinction is the secret that separates those who simply survive from those who actively forge their own destiny. And if this message resonated with you, understand that your journey doesn't end here. The next video appearing on your screen represents the next rung on your ladder of evolution. In it, you'll discover how to take yet another step towards becoming 1% better than you are right now. Thank you immensely for being here with me today, and I eagerly anticipate seeing you in the next video.